What's up, girls? I just read Eurotrash by Kracht. Well, Christian Kracht. He's a Swiss-German writer. Um, Contemporary. This book was first published in Germany in 2021 and then translated and published in America in English in 2024. Um, it's a short read. It was very propulsive, I would say, even though it was very depressing. Um, it had all of those popular, what I would call like upmarket or literary themes that are in right now. The protagonist is wealthy. It's a bit of auto fiction, so the protagonist is named Christian Kracht, um, but he's taking creative license to not adhere completely to the truth for the sake of the story. So it's auto fiction, um, and it's basically like existential, where he's kind of musing on the point of existence uh, from the place of someone who is incredibly wealthy, and his fortune has come from a lot of investments in like aerospace or arms companies at the time of World War II. So there's a lot of guilt um, that is kind of all of his money has this kind of guilty connotation where he has mixed feelings about it. Um, the premise of the novel is that he is picking up his senile mother who's in her 80s, and she is a alcoholic drug addict who lives alone, and um, the help steals from her, and she's a little bit crazy. And it seems like he's motivated out of guilt to visit her every 2 months or so. Um, so he picks her up, and they kind of go on this adventure, driving all over Switzerland, from Zurich to Basel to Geneva, um, and she basically is taking out large sums of money out of the bank and trying to give it away, trying to find someone to give it away to. Um, there's kind of some like irony in that. Um, he takes her to a vegetarian commune, and he's like, these people will be a good people to give it away to, and it turns out they're not really vegetarian, and it seems that they're Nazis, perhaps. Um, so that's just like a funny, he assumes people with a good mission that are perhaps lower class to be holier than he and his family are, and some people are just as bad. Um, it was interesting having him go all around Switzerland, because I've actually been to Switzerland twice in the last 2 years. Once to Zermatt for skiing, and then once to Zermatt for hiking, and Zurich in the summertime. Um, I guess he's part of this hotelier dynasty that owns Hotel Bar Au Lac in Zurich, which is actually where I stayed for one night in Zurich this summer, and that was cool. Um, and then also throughout the book, at one point they're searching for a flower called the Edelweiss, which is a flower that is native only to high altitudes in the German and Swiss region of the world, which is cool because I actually hiked up there and got to see an Edelweiss myself. Um, but there's a lot of driving all over Switzerland as well, and I feel like when you're in Europe, like I was last summer and this last winter, you do get like a better understanding of the geography because you're often training around. At least both instances, I was taking the train, so you actually kind of see where things are going. Um, this book, I would say, deals with some very dark themes, but manages to be very funny at the same time. Um, I think he has a very smart prose that's witty, um, and full of a lot of jokes. Uh, I remember there's one line where he's like, "I briefly wore makeup when I was a young man," and then in parentheses he put like from the age 13 to 27, which was like very funny to me. Um, and I don't know if it's true about him in real life, but a lot of it seems to be true. Um, and yeah, he somehow manages to keep it a little bit light, even though there's so many dark themes like inherited guilt, dealing with, kind of dirty money. The book makes it feel like all money is dirty, and that every fortune, in the West especially, uh, you know, is just built from corruption, and that also the descendants who inherit that wealth are just kind of consumed by guilt and maybe not even better off, um, for that very reason. Um, the plot is quite propulsive. I think it's like a great device that the mom is an alcoholic. I don't know if his mom actually is an alcoholic, um, and that she's kind of losing her mind because she's essentially so unreliable that it creates this great, um, like, ongoing conflict where you don't know if she's telling the truth or she's being crazy, and then they'll circle back to something she said before, and she'll have a different answer about it. So that's kind of fun as a reader, um, where you get to, things can be a bit ambiguous, and you get to decide what's real and what's not in certain parts. That's pretty cool. Um, and yeah, the last thing I would say is, like, it is very snobby, a snobby book in kind of a fun way. He's often referencing art and, especially in, like, other authors, contemporary, and they reference a lot of, like, 1800s French authors. Um, and, like, if you do get the references, it's, one of those things where I think it just makes you feel good. Um, so there were some references I got, but a lot of references were lost on me as well. You know, uh, and yeah, I would definitely recommend reading Eurotrash by Christian Kracht. It's only 190 pages, so check it out.